Have you ever felt that you are just going all the time and the world is moving fast so much around you and you're trying to keep up, but it seems like you're always falling short of the mark? Or say that you admire a certain person, a certain individual. It could be another YouTuber. It could be one of your friends. And you end up comparing yourself into what they've achieved to your success. And it seems like you're not quite measuring up to snuff. If you've ever felt that way, then welcome. Hi, my name is Jerusha. And for many parts of my life, I felt like I have been a failure and that I haven't been able to keep up. But there was one secret that I've learned in these past few years as living as someone who has not achieved or thought that I should achieve certain things, and I haven't achieved them yet. There's one thing that I've learned, and it's that there's power in living a quiet life. So I just like to talk about this because it seems like it's a topic that not a whole lot of people are, what would you say? I would say there's a whole lot of people talking about it when they're trying so hard to gain wealth or gain recognition. Because when you think about it, the whole game, the whole thing, the whole algorithm of YouTube is attention. The whole thing about social media is attention. You're here, or many people are here to gain attention. And it could seem, especially if you are a smaller creator or you have a smaller amount of subscribers, that you are just shouting into the sea of all these people who are also shouting with you. And it could feel overwhelming or feel like you will never achieve your goal if you have a goal of gaining some new subscribers or, the algorithm this, the algorithm that, it won't show me to other people. I'm not gaining any followers. I'm not gaining any engagement. But I believe, as someone who is also at this particular point in my time, a small channel, very small channel, you can still gain value in the quietness, because this is probably, you will never have this time again. This time, as a small YouTuber, as someone who has a small channel, if you do have the goal of creating a large following, your life will not be this quiet again. And there's advantages to living life right now in the quiet, and maybe even keeping it that way if it's something that you intend, because there's some benefits to it that are also unexpected. So when I was in high school, I had this dream, the dream of living in New York City and working in the fashion industry. And I'd loved New York City since I was a little girl, and I grew up in the South. So it would have been a change for me, even though my family, my father, is from New York. It was just a dream of mine to live in such an exciting place. There was always something happening. It was always busy. And it was amazing. It was an amazing time. It was just as exciting as I thought it would be. I fit right in like a duck to water. But I did learn some things very quickly about the nature of living in a very big place and being a tiny, tiny little guppy in a huge ocean of sharks. I'll say that much. If you don't, even though I had a wonderful time, if you don't have the type of personality that knows how to deal with people who may be less than ethical, I was very naive about what big city living would do as far as like the type of people that I would meet. Not everyone has your best interest at heart. And I would often talk too much or say too much about my ideas, and they would get stolen, point blank. And I started to notice a pattern that I kept hitting a ceiling. Even though I know I was working hard, I believed I was giving good value for what I was working for. It wasn't a ton of money, but it was disappointing to find that it's not necessarily that your ideas are not warranted or not valid. It's just that not everybody has your best interest at heart. And sometimes it's best to not give away everything or not tell all of your plans right off the bat. It's sometimes good just to observe and see how people interact with each other, and then see if you want to react or interact with them. So I learned that you can put in all the work in the world, but if people are not necessarily going to treat you in an ethical way, then you might be spinning your wheels and burning yourself out trying to get attention and be seen and be noted and be promoted. So after I had gone through some health crises due to stress and adrenaline and cortisol levels just being completely out of whack, I decided that it was time for me to step back, and I was almost forced to step back and live a little bit more low-key, lo-fi, if you will. So I wasn't able to work at full capacity as I had been so used to doing. I was used to, at least in my 20s, having 2 jobs and working something 9 to 5 and then having a freelance gig afterwards. I was always on the go, always moving. And I didn't know that all that moving and all that stress was, and trying to achieve and not achieving what I thought I should achieve, was burning me out. I really had a lot of time to get clear on what I thought was important and what was a priority to me. I really had to think about what were my dreams. Like, why did I want the things that I wanted? Why did I want to work in fashion? Why did I want to live in New York? Why did I want to have this tremendous house on the hill and travel all over the world and in luxury? And I had to realize that many of the things that I thought I wanted didn't necessarily make me happy. Living and working in New York, you get a chance to meet a lot of people who have a lot of money, or from different levels of society. But I was around enough people, especially working in fashion. A lot of these people, especially the buyers and celebrities that would show up at the shows, they had a decent amount of wealth. And I can't really say that they were any happier than me. In fact, many of them were very serious looking. There were some very kind people in the industry, but I can't say that many of them were necessarily happy. I'd gone to a fashion show that was held in this penthouse on the Upper East Side. And this was back in the day. And I'm not going to say the celebrities that I saw there, but they were pretty famous. They were socialites at the time. And I noticed that they were, I was standing, and oddly enough, with a champagne glass in my hand. And I looked out over to the balcony, and they were sisters. And one of them was crying, and the other one was comforting her sister. And I knew them to be celebrities. I knew them to both have a lot of money, but I noticed that they are just like us when it comes to feelings and emotions. She was having a hard time, and it was good to see that her sister was trying to comfort her, but it doesn't really matter. You know what I mean? Like, as far as like, you can have all the money in the world, and if you don't have a sense of peace within yourself, it's not going to matter. So I don't know exactly what she was going through, but she was trying to be more private, but it was like, to take her outside the party. But it was just, all these people were just laughing and talking and clinking champagne glasses and, just the wealthiest of the wealthy. But people still of that world have issues and problems and concerns just like everybody else. They still have feelings that can be hurt. They still cry. They're human. So I didn't know if I got the fabulous life that I saw that these sisters had, would I be any better than where I was right then and there in my little apartment in New York City, in the Bronx? Would I have been any happier? And I don't believe I would have been, even though I knew how much they had, their net worth. But they still go through the same stuff. So what I'd like to consider, or what I'd like you to maybe try to consider, is the power and the magic of living a quiet life. There's been a lot of focus around the term quiet luxury and quiet aesthetic, and not the flashy form of wealth. Classic tailored pieces, it's a certain vibe of giving of just elegance and confidence, but not shouting, whispering your wealth, as in letting your sense of confidence and elegance whisper. It doesn't have to yell that it has a lot of money. It doesn't have to well that has peace of mind. It's just centered. I'd like for you to consider maybe thinking of how you could incorporate more quietness into your life. Now, I was able to do it, or I had to do it because of my health concerns, but I found that there's several benefits that I had, even though I wasn't expecting it, and I'd like to share them with you. So I wrote a couple of them down. One of the top benefits that I have: mental, emotional, and spiritual wellness. Now, everybody goes through problems. Of course, everyone goes through problems. But I find that the less that I'm trying to do and achieve, just having simple, quiet goals, if you will, the more at peace I feel. If I have too many things that I have to focus on, it's just going to be too much. And I end up getting overwhelmed with myself, overwhelmed in what I want to achieve, because I'm a recovering perfectionist. And I find that living quietly helps me to get clarity on what's really important. So I find that I have more of a sense of peace because it's just one thing and not all the things. Because I love all the things, but not all the things are right for me. When I was forced to slow down in my work routine when I moved into my 40s, I started to notice that I had just a lot of joy just from cooking a good meal and making sure that the house was clean, and just being able to having the luxury of being able to sit and know that my bills are paid and that I have money in the bank in case of an emergency. I was very fortunate that I've always been very good with my finances, even though I haven't had a lot. But I have never just spent in order to gain more peace. It was very easy for me to say, I don't really want that particular item. It's not going to necessarily bring me more peace. I didn't want as much as I did when I was in my 20s because it was just, I knew that it wasn't necessarily going to make me happy. I know how to be happy with very little things, but the things that do make me happy, I don't need a lot of it. I need a little of it, but it needs to be good quality, or what I consider to be good quality. So experiences, those things, I think they're good to pay for. I want that. That to me is high value. Things that are going to save me time and give me less stress, that I find high value. I'll pay for that. And I'll work in ways that help me to gain enough money so that I can spend on things that I find a priority. Those are, to me, more important. And I'd rather spend money on investments as opposed, or assets, as I would call them, as opposed to things that are actually liabilities. I may do another video on talking about why luxury fashion isn't an asset, but that's a whole nother topic for another day. But I wanted to spend, just a little time to just leave you with a few things as far as living quietly can bring as a benefit for you. So for one, you're going to get very clear on what you want when you don't have as much noise from the outside trying to tell you what you need to have. Two, you're going to have more mental, spiritual, and emotional wellness. And three, it can lead to more in your wealth because the less that you're doing, the more you can take your resources and pool them to stuff that will either save you time, bring you more peace, bring you more money or wealth, instead of spending it on things for people who may not care about you or do not have your best interest at heart. So those are the things, that was the main takeaway I wanted to leave with you. You get quiet and it helps you to see very clearly when the noise is shut out. This is what brings me joy. And that's what, in my opinion, life is all about. How do you learn to cultivate more joy into your life? And if you have any particular topics that you'd like to talk about that have to deal with personal wealth, personal worth, creativity, let me know. Please let me know in the comments, and take care. Bye-bye.